Deans, directors, heads of departments and units here are present, the very distinguished inaugural lecturer, members of the faculty.
Welcome, and thereafter invites the inaugural lecturer to for his citation. Questions? Yes. Yes.
Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Registrar, other principal officers of the university, provosts, deans, directors, head of department and units, distinguished professors, staff and students, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pleasure and pride that I welcome you all to the 18th Inaugural Lecture Series of our esteemed institution. This series has become a beacon of intellectual discourse and academic excellence, showcasing the groundbreaking research and innovative thinking of our academic staff. Today, we are honored to witness another milestone in this tradition. We are gathered here to listen to an insightful lecture by one of our most esteemed scholars, Professor Kehinde, Victoria Fatokun. For the information of the audience, the husband is also a professor of mathematics. Please ask him to come and stand in from here. And the children, please. Professor Fatokun's contribution to the field of chemistry and her dedication to the advancement of science education are well known and highly respected both within our university and beyond. The topic for today's lecture, transforming chemistry instructional practices, navigating through resolving learning intricacies and integration of innovative pedagogy, is both timely and apt. As we navigate these complexities of modern education, we need to evolve our teaching methodologies to better address the diverse learning needs of our students has never been more pressing. Professor Fatokun's work in this area has been transformative, and our insights promise to enlighten us on how we can overcome these challenges through innovative and effective pedagogical strategies. In the rapidly changing landscape of higher education, the integration of innovative pedagogy is crucial for preparing our students to meet the demands of the future. As we anticipate the enlightening discourse that Professor Fatokun will deliver, I urge us to engage actively, reflect deeply, and how the insights shared today within our own teaching practices and educational environment. On behalf of the entire, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Fatokun for relentless pursuit of excellence in teaching and research, and for our unwavering commitment to transforming the landscape of chemistry education. Aside from the academic excellence, I also want to add that at every committee meeting now, we always engage her to assist us in community work, especially when it has to do with exam. Thank you. On behalf of the entire university community, again, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you. My appreciation to the family of Fatokun. He was my pastor in his career completion. Developed Department of Mathematics in Kefi, and left Kefi, also became one of the federal universities, and he said, and actually, the wife just applied to us for visiting, and I told him that I need this woman in education. Please stand up for our conclusion. I hope you are happy with your mother today. Thank you. Your unwavering support, encouragement, and sacrifice in our illustrious career. We understand that behind every successful academic, there's a network of family and friends who provide the backbone of support. Today's lecture celebration of Professor Fatokun's achievement, as it is a testament to your collective contributions. To our distinguished guests, colleagues, and students, thank you for being here today. Your presence is a testament to the importance we place on academic inquiry and the pursuit of knowledge. I welcome you once again, and I wish you an enlightening and engaging section. Right, Professor Fatokun. Citation. Professor Kehinde, Victoria, Fumilayo Fatokun. Professor Kehinde Victoria Fumilayo Fatokun was born on March 29, 1972 in Ibadan. She attended St. David Primary School and Kehinde Girls Grammar School in Ibadan. In 1992, she enrolled in the University of Education, earning a second-class upper division education and winning awards for academic excellence. A round of applause for her. She received her master's in science and analytical chemistry from the University of Ibadan in 2001 and her PhD in science education from Nasarawa State University in 2013. Starting as an assistant lecturer at Nasarawa State University in 2004, she rose to associate professor by 2016, serving in various administrative roles. During the sabbatical at Federal University, Jusima commendation for her service and contributed to a statewide research project issues. Appointed professor at Anchor University in 2019, she pioneered the LUC approved science education programs, served as head of the Department of Science Education and Dean of Faculty until 2023. Her research focuses on innovative interventions in chemistry education. She supervised numerous postgraduate and Professor Fatokun is actively involved in professional. My faith Oluwatife is in Malaysia and his wife Farida. Deborah Iola is stand up. Ini Oluwa. Dorcas Oluwa. Just delight Ibukun Oluwa. Isaac Oluwada and Israel Jesus Olu. And many others. At this junction, and many others are doctors children. Oh.
The Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Registrar, University Librarian, the Bursar, Provost, College of Science,
Distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank God for this milestone in my career history, which I consider just the beginning. And I'm deeply grateful to the Vice Chancellor for the privilege of delivering this inaugural lecture and the honor of addressing this distinguished audience. Permit me to start. I need to share an interesting story with you that depicts my journey into the teaching profession. Actually, I didn't intend to be a teacher. I never knew I would be, but growing up, I love just mimicking the experience I have in the classroom. Whenever I finish from primary school, whenever I finish the class, the baseball, I'll move from class to class, gather pieces of chalk, and when I got home, is inscribing things on the wall, just to recall what we taught and reinforce what I've learned. These I did for a long time, even till I got to secondary school. Although it attracted punishment most of the time, but when I got to secondary school, I restricted myself to my room. And I entirely developed the passion for just imparting knowledge. And today, by the grace of God, I find myself being a teacher. So I'm happy and grateful. And not only that, I have the privilege of standing before a visible class, not just an imaginary class, but a visible class of erudite scholars to share my experience. The topic of my discourse today is transforming chemistry instructional practices, integrating and navigating through resolving learning intricacies and integration of innovative pedagogy. This topic simply means a new way of teaching chemistry. And the focus is on resolving learning intricacies and integrating innovative strategies, adopting innovative strategies of teaching. I actually have a personal philosophy and sum up in a vision. A vision is teaching and making teaching engaging, concrete, productive, and to promote in-depth, interesting, and meaningful learning. And to get to the vision, to achieve the vision, embark on the journey of teaching how to learn and learning how to teach. I'm still learning and also helping others, prospective teachers, to learn how to teach. Functional science education is the goal. To attain functional science education, that's my main focus, because functional science education is a product of objective and progressive teaching, with reflective learning through active engagement of learners. On an advocacy today, my concern and the advocacy is for a paradigm shift from conventional teaching method. I'm not saying they are outrightly bad, but there should be a shift because of the global trend. So innovative strategy. I'm advocating for salary-based teaching to give way to impact-based teaching. And for our learners, that certificate-based learning should give way to competency-based learning. And there should be a shift, a transition from exam-based learning to outcome-based learning. Because the quality and quantity of teaching and learning experience are what define a nation and determine its productivity and achievements. And based on the age we have, to prepare our students adequately for the challenges of the 21st century and beyond, there is need for us to incorporate innovative instructional approaches into our teaching activities, because this is what will ensure that necessary skills are developed, like critical thinking skill, problem solving skill, decision-making skill, communication skill, that will enable us to produce highly skilled graduates that are competent and are able to compete favorably with their counterparts in any part of the globe. Staying relevant is very crucial in life, and it's a function of one's ability to adapt to changes to progressive learning. This is a quote from me: whoever refuses to learn gradually faces extinction. And before we dive into the main discourse this evening, I want to familiarize us with the trends and the basic rudiments of education. Education basically is transmission of knowledge
through the process of receiving and giving systematic instruction, especially for formal education. And the main thrust of science education is to develop all possible range of skills in individual learning and the skill for lifelong learning. This will enable our learner to give to the society and benefit from the society. Even though it's not optional, but these two do interface. Then there are three remains of learning. We have the cognitive, the affective, the psychomotor. Cognitive have to do with the knowledge, attitude, affective have to do with the attitude and skills developed by the student. Psychomotor has to do with skill. Affective is attitudes and value. We also call it 3H, which is the head, the heart, and the hand. So the total child must be built in learning. Now, taking us through the development of science education and the goal. Science education actually is a new study, a new field of study, and is an interesting one. It started with a phase where science education is seen as a rite of passage, that just to transmit scientific knowledge to produce scientists. Later, it transcends to science education being seen as social tool to solve societal problems and enhance well-being. And now it has emerged to be enhancing individuals' knowledge in reconciling scientific view with their own view. So we are in the era of scientific literacy. There's difficulty in learning, and especially in learning science. And let me briefly trace the history. Actually, in the late 60s, when the first artificial satellite was launched in the space by Russia, America was took aback. So there was a concern for them to overhaul their curriculum. And because the Cold War existed between them and Russia, and the Hungary, just for prominence. And because of this, the desire to fortify themselves, the curriculum was reformed. So, and this affected other parts of the world. The USA came up with the curriculum, science as approach, SAPA. Then the UK also came up with Norfolk curriculum. So the emergence of different science curriculum in the 1960s led to the introduction of new curriculum standards, teaching methods, and funding initiatives. It was then, around the early 70s, it was discovered that mathematics, chemistry, and physics were actually difficult subjects because of the content, because the curriculum had become detailed and there are some topics that were included. The previous early school curriculum was largely descriptive in nature with little explanation. So many teachers most often resort to talking about science, and students equally just read about science to pass the exam. And this is what is still operational in most of our African countries. That's the call for the change. And why do some students fail? Why do some students have problems seeing it's difficult to learn and to absorb desired knowledge? There are teacher-related factors. Even some teachers also have problems with teaching. There are student-related factors. There are so many. For the teacher-related factor, there are some teachers that are giving the basic concept of what to be taught. Some teachers today have problem of good interaction, good classroom engagement. Some have problem of selecting appropriate method for teaching. And some, they have the knowledge but lack the ability to transmit appropriately, especially the untrained teachers. On the part of the students, some students have problems with phobia, some have misconceptions. It's part of what we discussed this evening. Now, handling difficult concepts, there are some listed ideas on how to resolve all these issues, like the training of science teachers through workshop to acquaint them with current teaching methods, mastery of the subject matter involving students in laboratory activities, and so on. Now, elements of teaching learning process. We have the teaching components, which has to do with the teacher peculiarity, the teacher characteristics, teacher personality, the teaching concept, content, the teaching resources, teaching method, teaching environment. If you look at the direction of the arrow, it's all pointing to the students. So student, the focal point. The same for the learning component. Everything is directed towards the learner, and the learner is the fulcrum. For the general principle of teaching, we have principle of activity, principle of relevance, principle of selection, principle of definite aim, principle of correlation. Students should be able to relate what they are learning with their immediate environment. Principle of practice, principle of revision. I have to be very fast because I have a limited time. So bear with me. Massive of teaching, especially teaching science. These are the ideal way of teaching and learning science. A good teacher proceeds from known to unknown, concrete to abstract, particular to general, easy to difficult, simple to complex, logical to psychological, induction to deduction. And this chart I drew here just represents the engagement in the classroom, what the teacher is supposed to do, relationship with the students. And these are the expected goals of learning. After learning has taken place, the student should be able to know specific facts and concepts about what is being taught. Students should be able to apply the knowledge of what is being taught. That is to ensure that the student has understood what's being taught. Students also should be able to practicalize, that is to do. Students should be able to think critically, creatively, and creatively. Then the student should be able to evaluate his learning. Now, from the outline we have for those of us with the booklets, the second item has to do with chemistry. I have to say a little thing about chemistry, but I'm a chemistry teacher. Chemistry is a very interesting and important subject. In fact, most often we refer to it as the mother of sciences. But it interfaces with subjects like biology, physics, agric, and so on. And it's a part of our everyday life. It provides us with skill to produce synthetic material to enhance our living. It also provides us with knowledge about our environment. It also aids in safe waste management. Now we can talk of green chemistry. At least you even reduce, minimize the waste from the point of production. Now, environmental adverse effects of some chemical activity. We have water pollution, air pollution, acid rain, global warming, ozone layer, solid waste. These are the major seas global challenges the world is facing with. So, taking us through this introduction, we'll go to the real focus for today. Is chemistry really a difficult subject? Yes, I say yes. Chemistry is difficult because of its complexity and peculiarity. One is peculiar nomenclature in case of organic chemistry, the abstractness of some of the concepts, structure of some compounds, chemical reactions that involve reaction mechanism, then chemical equations. Some topics are mathematically inclined. So that's why chemistry is often regarded as being difficult. Now there are some identified difficult chemical concepts. These identified concepts is not limited to only Nigeria. Almost all the parts of the world, there are lots of studies that have confirmed that teaching and learning these concepts is really tedious. One of them is more concepts. They also have organic chemistry, energetics, electrochemistry, bounding, thermodynamics, chemical and kinetics, redox reaction. Now, what should a teacher do? Teachers should assist students to develop interest in chemistry, and this should help them make their affairs, and also approach chemistry with confidence, develop problem-solving skill, dissolve their misconception, evaluate their learning, and apply principles of chemistry in solving problems. If we fail to do that, there will be problems, and these are the problems we are faced with now: underachievement of some students due to lack of understanding and assimilation. It's not far-fetched. We have a typical example at our hand. You know, they just released JAMB results, where we have 76 failure. So it's a challenge to us. Well, these are the products of our secondary schools, and these are the students we are expecting in our university. Then students will have poor retention and recall, they will lack interest, they will not be able to relate what they learn to even solve practical problems. And this really affects the enrollment rate at higher institutions of those who are supposed to study chemistry-related courses. Now moving to my research interests. I'm actually interested in science education, teaching and learning of all the science subjects, especially with the use of innovative teaching strategy. I'm also interested in metacognition, that is, how students are able to measure their knowledge, their misconception, learning styles, ICT integration in instruction, and gender issues. Now, this is where I'm going. Today, I'm discussing on handling difficult chemical concepts because this is actually my focus in research, how to handle difficult chemical concepts. And I'm going to look at two major variables which determines the learning outcome, the teaching variables and the learning variables. For the teaching variables, there's several of them, but my focus is on the teacher pedagogical approaches. And I will concentrate on adopting innovative teaching strategies as outlined on the title. Then for the learning variables, that's what I call the learning intricacies in the title. There are certain things that most of our teachers are not cognizant of, or they are not really making efforts to help the students to overcome those challenges. And those problems really affect their learning outcomes. One of them is learning style, learning misconception, learning attitude, and learning retention strategies. So we'll move to the innovative strategies for teaching science. These listed strategies, peer instruction, ICT enabled learning, mind mapping, all of them are more like game method of teaching. I've actually employed them in teaching and I've experimented on them. The last two were the methods that were developed by me. Concept mapping guided discovery integrated teaching approach was the approach that I used in teaching students electrolysis. During my PhD, the experimental group were exposed to this approach. And the result was very interesting because their performance drastically improved. The reason being that they are two in one, concept mapping and guided discovery combined together. Now, talking on adopting constructivism in learning chemistry. Guided discovery is the way of allowing students to learn on their own. And that is what this constructivism is all about, that students should learn by fitting new information together with what they already know. Students are supposed to construct their knowledge by themselves. And ideas are not to be treated in isolation, but they are to be connected. Because cognition, what we call learning, is the result of mental construction. When the student is able to construct perfectly the idea being conveyed, the student will have understanding, and the student will not have problem relating that understanding, applying it, and recalling it when necessary. Now, this is the guide. What is expected of a constructivist to serve as a model to model and to coach and to build the scaffold for students to learn. I will talk mainly on, majorly on problem-based learning because I conducted some studies on that. These are the characteristics of problem-based learning. Problem-focused, student-centered, self-directed, self-reflective, and tutor serve as the facilitator. And here there's a change of role. teacher moves away from being dispenser of knowledge to just to design, just to set the stage. And he moves from being the authority to just being a coach, to allow the students to learn by themselves. And students move from being dependent on the teacher to becoming dependent and creating knowledge, discovering knowledge themselves. So I want to showcase some of the studies I've done in PBL. I will be very fast. This one is the effect of problem-based learning strategy on chemistry, student achievements, and interest in more concepts. Here we are able to resolve some of the problems students have on relating most concepts with some chemical and physical entity with this schematic representation. It's another study that was conducted, assessing problem-based metacognitive strategy of students learning styles and achievement in electrochemistry. This is another study. This is on relating some concepts in mathematics. This study was carried out by me and my husband. This is another study on the 5-step conceptual change, instructional model on student interest and cognition and achievements in chemical and this is my PhD work, effect of concept mapping, guided discovery, integration. Actually, PBL, problem-based learning, is an element of guided discovery. I was interested in this. There are two theories. So you will
More importantly, after detecting the misconception, it aids in selecting the appropriate method to correct that misconception. These are examples of the concept map I constructed during my PhD work to teach electrolysis, electrochemistry, and redox reaction. Now, moving to the learning variables, the learning intricacies. Like I said earlier, one of them is learning style. And I have the question, is learning style a neuromatch or an essential learning variable? Yes, it's more than just an imagination of what people think learning is. The way the brain works is actually an essential learning variable. And I have a justification for this claim. Well, we get to know that later. The learning style is just the way the brain works. So there's no right or wrong learning style. And every student that comes to class has their peculiar learning style. So in a classroom environment, we have students with varying learning style. And the essential thing is for the teacher to take cognizance of this and match his teaching to the students' varied learning style. Around 2012, there were some educational psychologists that said no, adapting to the learner's style is a messy hypothesis. That there was such colleagues on learning style preference of students. But for this one, we use the Gratian and the Raymond learning style classification. There are actually different people that work on learning style and have their very classification. We also conducted another study on learning style and the when somebody is manifesting vernacular dispensation of actual dispensation. But for conceptual dispensation is rather difficult to identify what are the causes of student dispensation. Sometimes students have problems of conceiving properly what the teacher is saying because of the communication barrier. There are two possibilities. The teacher may be conveying the idea in
the association with what the student already knows and the new idea being taught. And this is the association. It's this association that brings the understanding. But here's the problem in relating, linking the new idea with the existing knowledge structure. There will be misconception. That's why you see the arrow going this side. And until when that misconception is resolved, students will have problem of understanding. But when there's understanding, they can easily assimilate and retain. And this is where the teacher's pedagogical content knowledge plays a critical role. Because ideally, it is expected that teachers should be familiar with common misconception, and they should anticipate where and when learning is likely to distort teaching, and be equipped to help students to correct those misconceptions. I have some studies on assessing pedagogical content knowledge of teachers, and these are the methods I use in correcting misconception. Systematic, elaborate instructional session, discussion and review, questioning approach, micro-teaching on difficult chemical concepts. Sometimes I ask the students to come and teach just to detect area where they are having problems. And structure essay and concept mapping. These are methods I've used in detecting and correcting students' misconception. And this is a step. I mean, these are the steps in conceptual actually a process. There must be appropriate cognitive environments due to existing competing conception, and is an indication that the student is dissatisfied because there will be cognitive confusion, conflicts. So to resolve it, the learner has to either reject the new conception or compartmentalize it. And this is where intelligence comes to play. Students will try to construct new mental model so that you will be able to fit in that new idea that is not comfortable with. And in a bid to do that, you must understand the individual components of what is trying to aggregate, and can then build his concept map. Based on that, you can now have a picture of what he thinks the new idea is. And this is also possible because it's possible in resolving the anomaly. There are three actual possibilities. You see that the new knowledge is linked with the existing one properly, or is not linked, or is just linked incorrectly. So these are possibilities. But once they attain this stage, of course, the fruitfulness stage has taken place. At least he has been able to resolve the misconception issue and have a conceptual state. It have a conceptual state of what the new idea means. Now, these are some of the studies I conducted on student misconception. And the result from this study, particularly there was one on chemical bonding. The study was conducted at different on in-service teacher, pre-service teachers, and students. And I discovered that most misconceptions held by the student are equally held by the teacher, which means they were transferred. This is a study conducted on prior knowledge to show the importance of prior knowledge when planning for instruction. Now, another learning intricacy is the attitude. Attitude actually is a psychological construct, but it plays a special role in learning. In any attainment, in any adventure, attitude, interest, opportunity are very key. When you talk of attitude, the ability, the opportunity, once you have the right attitude, you have the interest, you can easily get along. So the self-concept, when you have the right attitude, you'll be able to develop self-concepts, good self-concept of yourself. And then have interest, you're able to have competence, and you will motivate to flex. Attitude is very important. Student attitude. I particularly study attitude as a correlate of achievement in chemistry. But it was discovered from these studies that teachers' poor attitude affected the performance of their students in the subject. Now, talking on ICT integration, because it's another area of interest. It's important that ICT technology is woven into, ICT is woven into our teaching and learning activity. This study was conducted on blended learning approach and was discovered that students have a positive attitude towards it, even though there was a challenge as stated in this graph. Now, this also a study on ICT integration in teaching of science. Here it was discovered that there are a lot of issues affecting effective implementation of it. Even though we have a way around them, these are some of the results of the study. There's need for teacher literacy level to be enhanced. There's need for ICT capacity building. And this is another study on related to social media. It's also discovered that students can make positive use of facility in the social media handles that can enhance their learning. Most of them are busy watching them doing a lot of things, but there are a lot we can gain from using their cell phone. Now, on gender studies. Actually, this is not the focus, as I've said earlier, but being a female, I'm always interested in knowing how adaptable are ladies, female students to all these new approaches. And interestingly, most of the studies carried out, so it's discovered that the female, they achieve at par with their fellow male students. And they even have enhanced interest in choosing and adopting those learning new approaches. These are some of the studies carried out. These are purely gender studies. This was a statewide study carried out on gender, female student participation and performance in science subjects. It was carried out in Katsina State. It was sponsored by TED Fund. These are the results. The enrollment rates, the male-female teacher science ratio. Then this also another gender study that was carried out. This was a study on empowering rural female students now to benefit the society through functional chemistry education. Now, I will talk about some of these innovative strategies. I want to be concluding by saying that there's need for synergy between the science teachers in the primary, secondary school and the lecturers in the university. Because the lecturers in the university are to conduct research and to transmit their research to the students, to the teachers for implementation. And they are also to identify gaps where the researchers are now to, research on. And there's need using data-driven insight to refine teaching strategies. There should be efforts towards bridging the gap between research outcome and innovative teaching strategy. This paper was presented at one of the STAM conference. I was bombarded with a lot of questions. Particularly, there was somebody that said, I haven't talked so much and you are passionate about innovative strategy. What have you done? And I told them that the little contribution I've made is that all these innovative approaches I've experimented, I always teach the teacher to avoid extraneous variable. It's only on few occasions I taught. So majorly I will train the teacher and they are the one to implement. So in that way, they have learned how to. And besides, I also develop some templates for easy implementation of those innovative strategies. Now, these results, like those in category, the blue category, the color, they are the ones that have no idea at all about innovative strategy. Those, the red category, they are aware, but they are reluctant, they are stereotyped. While those in category green, the green color, they have not implemented any of the innovative strategies. Now, as I want to conclude, let's briefly look at the key takeaways. I have a recap. It has been established that chemistry is a very difficult subject. PBA and other innovative teaching approach should be adopted for teaching. Both teachers and students should be encouraged to adopt and use concept map to detect misconception and aid assimilation and proper understanding of students. Learning site is an essential learning variable. It's not just neuromath. Then misconception impedes not learning. An effort should be made to explore the student's mental model so that they will be able to have acceptable view of what is being taught. Then learners' metacognitive skill and memory improvement strategy should be enhanced. And ICT should be moving into instruction. And lastly, research outcomes should be made available for easy implementation by concerned stakeholders. I have some list of self-assessment, even though I'm not permitted to ask questions or to entertain questions, but Vice Chancellor, sir, with your permission, because based on my teaching, my training as a teacher, I need to evaluate. So let me just quickly mention there are other ones contained in the booklets. How concerned are you about some of your students' underachievements and lack of interest in learning? Do you have clear academic expectations and set standards? Do you conduct credible and unbiased self-assessment of yourself regularly? How adaptive are you to innovative approaches and global trends? How do you address learning challenges by weaving weaving technology into your instruction? How interesting and participatory are your lecture periods? How reflective are you in your instructional approaches to design student learning needs and detect their misconceptions? There are other ones in the booklet. Now, my recommendations. Sir, you have been doing wonderfully well, and we appreciate your efforts. But our university is asking for more. And I want to recommend, sir, that there should be modern teaching facility. I'm looking forward to see smart boards in our classroom and so many other gadgets that we have our teachers to learn and to cheat well. Then also, I want to recommend that there should be constant workshop organized for us so that we learn more of new teaching strategies. Even though all these new strategies are not new, they're just relatively new to us because we have not been adopting them. And lastly, sir, I want to suggest and recommend that there should be quality teaching assessment, because since teaching is one of the key functions of academics, it should also form a major parameter in the assessment. So there should be metrics to detect that, and it should be part of what is used in the assessment. It's a recommendation, sir. Then, our lecturers, my fellow colleagues, we should try to adapt to changes. Most of the times, our students can even predict us because we are stereotyped. They can predict what we do in the class because they are so familiar with what we do. So we should learn to adapt to changes and also learn to adopt the new teaching techniques. Also for the curriculum development, we may not have any of them in the house, but they need to help us address the issue of misconception when reviewing the curriculum. Now for our director of quality assurance unit, I want to recommend that they should ensure quality teaching. That's why we are here to teach students. And not only that, students should be made to assess their lecturers. And the feedback should be given to the lecturer for necessary action and also to the management. This will make everybody to be conscious and do their job. Also for my colleagues in education, I want to recommend that we should implement current pedagogical skills. We should interface with the schools. We should help us teachers in the field, in secondary school, primary school, to learn how to adapt to this new method. When we have our findings, we should not just share them and just accumulate them for promotion. We should find means of helping the teachers out there to see how they can implement it so that we will not be having high failure rates. And to my few students available here, you should be intentional about learning. It pays to learn so that you can stand tall and not be ashamed of your certificate. As I want to conclude, I started with a story. Let me end up with a story. There was a man, a king, had a dream. It was a very difficult dream, a complex dream. Because he was so terrified, he even forgot the dream as he woke up. So he gathered, he summoned all his, what I would call his intellectual people. They had the wise men, the astrologers, but none of them could help him. They were handed out. This is a big job they are giving us. You ask us to remind you of your dream. This is impossible. If you tell us the dream, we will give you the interpretation, but he said no. And he was bent on killing them. There was a man among them, because he had an unusual experience, he had an encounter with God, was able to not only recover the dream at history, he recovered the dream, get the interpretation, and the implication of the dream. Where am I going? There are difficulties, according to what I've told you, I specialize in difficulties. But there are no difficulties that is beyond God. If we know him experientially, he can assist us and usher us into a realm of positive impartation of knowledge to the next generation. Even for students, there was a man who said he has some understanding, whether they are complex topics or whatever. The man said he has more understanding than his teachers. So it is possible to have great understanding. Let me end up by acknowledging, and I want to start with acknowledging God, who has been my great strength and support, who has helped me and sustained me all through this year. I'm really grateful for his mercy upon my life. I also want to add that so many in the booklet, but I will be brief because of my time. I want to acknowledge also all the teachers that taught me from primary school to secondary, university. There are so many. But especially, I'm giving a special recognition to Professor P.A. Enyayuji. He was my PhD supervisor. He was a constructivist, and his approach actually helped me learn. He, introduced me to the rudiment of science education research. I also want to appreciate Professor Adamu Beki. He was the Vice Chancellor when I was I got appointment to Nasarawa State University. His counsel, his fatherly love and role. There are so many that I cannot be listing names that have contributed to my success. All the succeeding Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University, I appreciate them because they form a platform for me to have a smooth career progression and made my stay in Nasarawa State University to be very interesting. Also in the Faculty of Education, I have a list of them: Professor Ochuka, Professor Uzochi, and Meichibi. There are many, they have done wondrously well. At Federal University for my sabbatical, I enjoy lots of support from the student and staff of science education. Professor Latoyi was my HOD then, although he was Dr. Latoyi then. Now to Anchor University, I want to appreciate Professor Afolayan and his wife, in particular for Professor Afolayan. Just the little me discovered me and engaged to build my competence. Also to the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Bandele, thank you for the opportunity you gave me to contribute to my little quota. And able this, sir. I want to congratulate you. I want to invest in your forthrightness, your desire for and your impactful leadership. So I wish you the best as you continue and give us more, sir. Then I want to thank all the deans and director of this great institution. I want to appreciate my dean, Professor Mole. I want to appreciate all the HODs and faculty members of faculty, the mother of all faculties. Of our servicing departments, Faculty of Science, particularly thank my staff and Since I came here. I want to appreciate my students, both undergraduate and postgraduate, especially some of my researchers. Some of them are teachers in secondary school, so it makes my work easy. Anytime I want to conduct any study, I'll just call on we review and then we commence to work. So I want to thank them, Dr. Mrs. O.E. Ega Sule, Mrs. S.B. Jimon, Mrs. Nifure. I also want to thank Mrs. Tani Mowo and Mrs. Mokoro. My special regard to my mentor, Pastor. They are really impacted in my life, and I can say I'm a product of teaching. So I appreciate it. Once we fail to express all our gained and learned through him. I also want to appreciate Pastor Philip. He's been a wonderful father. I want to thank Pastor and a wonderful parents to me. I want to thank my current parents in the Lord in COVID. That is our loss and mother. So the argument that is no more. Because she really played the role. She played the maturity. I also want to appreciate the George family, Anyolowos, the Babalola is here, Mr. Babalola is here, Dr. Jonathan, my husband's junior brother. Then they have been loving and made my career very smooth. Then, lastly, not the least, I want to appreciate my husband. But behind every successful woman, there is a man. He's the angel. In fact, he was able to help me unlock my potential. Wow. And the fact that it's unreserved, I don't like talking, don't like to be, but we are just opposites. And through that, I was able to, adjust. So these are my family members. I want to thank my children. They sacrificed a lot for me. Sometimes I had to give them 10 conferences within and outside the country. I want to thank everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. You may want to make that ovation louder. Can you just come some more? Thank you very much. Again, I want to welcome back the registrar.
Vice Chancellor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, sounding gender that our women have been started with Professor Francisca with her computer algorithms and she brought it down to our level. We had Professor Badaki teaching pathology. Well, taught us that politicians are parasites. I don't know whether that's correct. And here we have our start breaking down these very complex things. Prof, we're very proud of you. Very, very for giving us opportunity to learn, to really earn your share. So I'd like to invite back respectfully our Vice Chancellor to do what he does best. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, the registrar. Another round of actually interested in takeaways, and I'm happy the ASU chairman is here. Before we start another crisis again, we have decided that students will start promotion and inside, and the Director of Quality Assurance. You heard what she said again. You have the future role to play in this. You have started. Thank you. Bossa, the smart board. You heard what he said. I don't want to hear there's no money in the cultural line. Thank you, lecturer. It's a wonderful lecture to do. I will find myself talking to the registrar that this is a quality percentage. We are just listening to a scholarly quality. This lecture was on chemistry and chemistry as a whole. And I found myself thanking God that I didn't do chemistry because I don't see how I can pass that. That is what you said, misconception. So we have listened to her, and some of the recommendations are in page 7 for lecturers, for students, and for our colleagues. Some of the points pertaining to workshop, we take that up. I think I will serve the Director of Quality Assurance that responsibility. But it's one thing to organize lecture and workshop, it's another thing for them to attend. But we see how we manage that one. So the recommendations, I want us to take the recommendations very serious. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I said, and as the registrar has just confirmed, Professor Fatokun has been a program as a professor of the Federal University of Lokoja. And she's therefore an equipped. Let me recognize and welcome to this university my own spiritual father, Professor J.B. Adefila. Not to tell you one secret. If I offended you, how to get it. Thank you, sir. You are welcome, sir. Let me also recognize the representative of the commandant, naval base in Lokoja. I also want to recognize Dixon Idironke, the Assistant Director. Nice presence of Professor Impon Bassi from the University of Abuja. We now soon talk I did not. I also want to recognize Dr. J.O. Fatokun, lecturer at Ekiti State University. Thank you. I want to recognize DCP, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Leos Chike, his DC operation representing the Police Commissioner. I want to recognize Professor Nancy Idafubia and the wife, Pastor Nancy Idafubia. I want to recognize Babalola Isaac Olusegun is here. Thank you. And I also want to recognize all the Deeper Life Bible Church delegates from Lokoja. Please stand up. Jason Olajire, investor of Ibadan, is online. I think Omolabake of the state, Dr. Faith Fatokun from Malaysia, she's online. J.O. Oyewumi, Dr. Professor, Senior Assistant Registrar, J.O. Oyewumi, Anchor University Lagos, online. Dr. Olu Obasan, online from Lagos. Dr. Enoch Adetuji, online. Dr. Sam Omochere, please forgive me. They are also online with the wife. Grace Oluwasegun, online. Dr. Jerry Oyewumi, Dr. Kashi Johnny, also from Malaysia, is online. Dr. Kemi Fashola, online. Dr. Motayo Komolafe, online. Pharmacist Philip, Dr. Taiwo Olajo, Dr. Tokunbo Ayola, Ifeoluwa Fatokun, online also. Ruth Tanimo Dr. Okoro Samuel, also from Anchor University. Engineer Felix Akpasa, also from Anchor University, online. GP Sanusi, online. Enoch Adetuji, online. Olumide Charles Ayeni, online. Dr. Omolabake Akinkwade, online. Dr. Patient, also online. Mrs. O.A. Hero, Anchor University. Dr. Patience, Dr. Evan Patient, Anchor University. Dr. Ijidia Stephen, also from National Institute of Technology, India, also online. Please, a round of applause for that. As is our tradition here, I will invite the guest lecturer to step forward. Please let me recognize my wife because I have no, I'm not able to leave. Okay, please let me. representative of the state director of
the Vice Chancellor. Congratulations.
the last presentation after this with a prayer for us. I will pastor, so I will need to pray. Assignment. The power and the hand of the Lord will reign mightily and gloriously in each lives in Jesus' name. We are grateful unto you, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Greatest X-ray. And of the greatest X-ray. And of the greatest and the greatest X-ray. Thank you. Please remain standing as the procession is hits the hall in reverse. Or please remain standing. Thank you.
Slide maximize our maximize go online. Put your cable on this one.
Open that door. Like that.
I made it like that.
Play Jamaica music.
Prof. Prof.
My director.
Play another song, I beg.
So give us
Offer. I'll give two people you song here. Give another song. Give another song of this one. Yes, offer.
You not everything, yeah. So this is message of we got.
See. Prof. Key this song for me. Give them the song.
Who will waiting? Who will really think? This is live song.
It's live. They are seeing this now being live. See here.
You want to show me now? 256. 256. I think 24 I'm also like that.
This our store. We know the exam now. The exam complete now. Yeah.